Let's get into some shite. Hi, folks. Welcome to Hey, wait a minute. Welcome to the Out of Tune podcast. My name is Rick Baldwin. I'm the Out of Tune guy. You know, Out of Tune, if you don't know, this is a little trivia for you. Out of Tune, the very first cartoon strip I ever did. No, that's sort of true. Very first professional, let's say that, because I did some stuff in high school and college. Very first professional cartoon strip I ever did started in 1987. It's older than some of you who are listening right now. Can you believe it? And this used to be Apocalyptic. Now it's Out of Tune podcast. If you haven't hung around, if you haven't been here for a while, then that's going to surprise you. It shouldn't. It's the same podcast. And I just wanted to kind of point that out. Okay. Just so we all know where we are. Let's do that. Speaking of 1987, speaking of the old days, I'm selling my iPods. Finally selling my iPods. I didn't really want to, but what am I going to do with them? So I've got three, the little wheel iPods, little iPods. You remember those? You kind of spin them around with the little wheel thing. I got three of those. So I have, my very, very, very first iPod ever. I have that. It's not even, it's one of the very early ones. Let me try to think of when I got it. I would say 2006, maybe. If I can remember right, I'm going to say 5 or 6, but I'm going to say 6. And the way I got it, so I wanted an iPod really bad, right? And the way I got it was I had tons of DVDs. No. Tons of CDs, okay? Music CDs. I mean, really, a lot of them. And so I took every one of them and I burned them onto my computer. And then I took all of those and I traded them in for cash at a used CD store. I took that cash and I bought my very first iPod with it. So all of my CDs bought my iPod, and that's illegal, by the way. I don't know that I knew that at the time, but it is. Here's the thing, once you get rid of your CD, you're supposed to get rid of any copies that you have. You're not even really supposed to be copying it. I think we all know that. We live in an era now where you just get anything you want off the internet, and you kind of could do that back then. What was it? LimeWire, remember that? And then there was another one that I'm drawing a blank on. I almost said it. I'll remember it before the show's over. You're shouting it right now. That's right. They got sued and shut down for a while. I never used them that much. But it's illegal to do that. Now, I didn't know that. And even if I did, I probably still would have done it, right? I should admit that in case I have to go to court. But I burned all of my CDs onto my computer, and then I sold them, and then I got my iPod, and then I put them all on my iPod. That was awesome, and I still have that iPod, but now I'm getting ready to sell it. I'm not going to get much out of it, but it just feel like I don't know what somebody's going to do with it. Who listens to that anymore? And it was a 80 gigabyte, couldn't fit much on there, and then I have two 160 gigabytes. These are the, I think, 6th generation iPod Classic. I don't remember when it was made. Those are my favorites. I love those. I could get every piece of music that I owned onto that. I don't know that I could now. But anyway, I have those. I'm going to sell them. Finally get ready to put them on eBay. See what I can get out of them. I think they're selling for like close to $200 now. So money's nice, but I don't really care about that as much as just getting rid of them. And hopefully they'll go to somebody who uses them. I've seen where people can kind of update them and they use them for, I don't know. You could use them for like control things or whatever. And I don't know, whatever people want to do with them. You could still, if you have the little cord, you can still plug them in to your iTunes and put songs on them and listen to them. They still sound great. They still work. There's nothing wrong with them. Anyway, if I'm going to put them on eBay, if you think you might be interested in one of them, hit me up before I put them on eBay. Once they're on eBay, they're gone, and no one will ever get them again. And I'm a little sad about it, but I also know I'm not going to use them, so I got to let it go. This week, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon. Is that right, Zal? I think that's what it's called. Scorsese film. Leonardo DiCaprio. Other people. Lots of other people. That was a disturbing film. It wasn't like horribly disturbing. And oddly enough, there's violence in it. By comparison to most films nowadays and most Scorsese films nowadays, less violence than you would think. Not a lot of dirty words. There was dirty words. There was swearing. I don't know what. I hate the word swearing. You're not swearing. You're saying dirty words. You're saying words that aren't supposed to be said, right? I don't know. I don't like swearing. But anyway, that's in there. So it's really focused on the story and a lot of disgusting people. I don't like films where there's nobody that you can root for. You do the people that the bad things are happening to, you root for them. But the stars of the movie are the bad people, it seems like. That's not a spoiler. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But I don't know. I really probably halfway, maybe less than halfway through, I just said, I don't like this movie. And it wasn't because it's not a good movie. It's a great movie. It just, it made me feel bad. But the thing is, it's history and you can't cover it up. You can't say, oh, they shouldn't have made this. You can't say they shouldn't have told this story. It has to be told. Sometimes I feel really stupid. Like I didn't even know anything about this topic. Again, if you want to know about it, look it up. I'm not going to go into it, but it is historical. And I had no idea. There's a lot of stuff. And so that kind of stuff, I just think, well, that's why it needs to be told. So dumb people like me, who either didn't pay attention in history class or didn't get it in history class, there's a movement today to cover up that very thing, bad things that happened politically that embarrass people. You know, they don't want you to know that their group supported slavery one day. So the better thing to do is just cover it up. Let's pretend like it never happened. That's dangerous. You know, it really is. Can you not say that was awful? We screwed up. It should never have happened. Don't cover it up because we don't want it to happen again. You know, I mean, the Germans could say, the Nazis never happened. It didn't. And there are groups that say that stupid thing, but the Germans, they know. They're like, let's just put it out there and let's do a museum so people could see our mistakes. Let's open it up and let's say, let's never do this again. You got to do that. You know, I've lived in the South my whole life. I love Southern culture, but so much of the South supported, and during the Civil War time, supported the wrong side. And that's okay. We could say that. We can admit that. Let's just say we screwed up. All right? We all became better people. I didn't do it personally. I wasn't even here. But I have ancestors who did. I have ancestors who owned slaves. Sure. It sucked when I found that out. But that's my history. That's our history. We are made up of history that's horrible. And even if it's not America, the world, global history of how people did really, really, really bad things to each other. So I'm going to say I recommend Killers of the Flower Moon if you get an opportunity to see it. I think it's getting ready to move off of the big screen and go to Apple TV or something like that. It's worth looking at. I've watched Leonardo DiCaprio just seem to embrace playing slime balls. I think he likes doing that, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just fun. but it causes me. I like him as an actor, but I watched him in was it The Wolf of Wall Street? I don't know that I ever hated anybody more after I watched that movie. I was like, I can't ever watch another one of his movies. He was such a disgusting character. But that's good acting, right? I've seen him in a few things since then that I liked him in. So maybe he's redeemed himself a bit, although this was another bad, disgusting character that he plays. So, whatever. But my wife and I went, we don't do this much at all. We went with friends. We went out to see it and had a little dinner, a little friend date, go out with some friends. Do you do that much? I think I find out as I get older, I don't do it that much. But I enjoy doing it. Maybe it's because I don't have a lot of friends. But speaking of friends, on this podcast, Thursday, the Thursday show, if you get the opportunity to hear it Thursday, fine. If not, another day, you'll hear it. Mike Faber interview. I had fun with that interview. Now, I haven't talked to Mike in a while since this epic disaster. 3 years ago? It was before COVID. So I haven't talked to Mike in a while. Mike used to be so Mike was on Life and Kill podcast, and then he was on this epic disaster. He became our December guy, and he would show up. We talked a little bit about Hanukkah. Mike collects menorahs, so he brought his collection in. We talked a lot about that, and that was always fun. So I've been wanting to have him back on the podcast, and it just kind of opened up, and it's getting ready to be December. So I just said, hey, why don't you be on the show? So he's going to be on the show the last day of November. So I think this is his first November podcast with me. We did an October podcast quite a while back. And but this one's our holiday. Well, we talked about some fun stuff, and Mike's kind of a spiritual guy. We got into a little spirituality, nothing preachy or nothing like that. But we just talked about what's going on in the world spiritually, how that's affecting people. We talked a lot about podcasts. Mike has a lot of podcasts and started some new ones. So it's an interesting conversation. You're going to want to listen in on Thursday. That'll happen. Mr. Mike Faber, glad to have him. And then I think, believe it or not, I have another interview I'm working on that's going to happen pretty soon. So that'll give us something to look forward to. Listen, if you want to be interviewed, I'm always looking for interesting people. So you might have an interesting story. You might be an interesting person, and you feel like, hey, I could be interviewed. I could share my story. I'm open to it. That's what I almost called this the Life and Kill podcast. How long ago was that? That's what the Out of Tune podcast is about. Talking to people, talking to you, letting people know what your story is. That's kind of what I want to do. So all you got to do is call me, contact me. Just do it. You can do it through email, rick@outoftune.com. Reach out on Facebook. I am on Facebook. Out of Tune is on Facebook. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. Find me there. Or just reach out on Facebook. That's a good way to do it. Or, now, I say this every week. It's there for you. Our listener line, 678-348-0008, is a listener line. You can call in on that number and just weigh in on any topic. Say anything. Tell me anything. Short, long, whatever, and I'll put you on the podcast. You can be a part of the show. That's there for you. You can also text the same number. We'll do the same thing. So, see, that's the way that you can participate with this program, and that's why I have it here. Okay, let's get into some topics here. Let's get into some shite, shall we? By the way, if you want a shite shirt, I do have some shite shirts. Our merch is available. Just go to outoftune.com. There's some merch. And you could be like Gary, who bought a shirt. Gary sent me a photo of his shirt. It looks awesome. So here's the thing. Gary ordered the shirt, and the shirt went to Korea and then came back. We don't know why. I think he just wanted some kimchi or something. It just made a little trip. Just said, hey, I'm going to go out and see the Koreas a little bit, and then I'll come back and hang out with you for Christmas. So Gary sent me a picture of his, it's a smart looking shirt, gotta say. Gary makes it look good. Gary's my age, and he's in much better shape than me. I gotta lose some weight. I just kind of keep up with Gary here. got to do some sit-ups or something. I don't know. But yeah, you could do that. Go to outoftune.com and check out the merch selection. I'm going to add some more later. But right now, that's what we got. We got stickers. Stickers are free. All you got to do is just post something on your Facebook saying, I listen to this podcast. Just promote the podcast. And it's free. Just do something like that. And then let me know you did that and tell me your address and I'll send you stickers free. Did that for Gary too. Gary's getting stickers. So there you go. So I want to talk about unintended consequences. Okay, and specifically a specific thing. I'm drinking coffee, by the way. I think I got chocolate peppermint this morning. So unintended consequences. I think a lot about just probably off the cuff, casual, just spur of the moment things that one of my parents said when I was a child that I can remember now that I'm an old guy. And they were just young. They certainly weren't trying to carve anything into my brain. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have kids, but I've been a kid. I was a kid for a few years. And I just remember, even if it's just like they're mad about something, they say something, or frustrated, or even joking, or just unconscious, not thinking about what they're saying, and how that could kind of come into your life, your head, your being, and you don't forget it ever. It just stays with you. And in fact, in some ways, it kind of makes you who you are. And that's not everything they say, obviously, but just like something sticks in you. You know how that is? Isn't that weird? How there's like one little thing you just never. It's like my mother said that to me. My grandfather said that to me. My aunt. I've never forgotten it. Those things kind of happen. And it also happens like when you're like education. So I'm gonna talk about a couple of things. So really what I want to say is, or I want to highlight, is just situations that seem so regular that actually end up being a significant part of someone's life. And I got two situations that I want to talk about from when I was a kid. One deals with a family member. Now, this is a man who I rarely encountered. So he's like the husband of my mother's cousin. So my grandmother lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that was our annual vacation every year. We would go to Fort Lauderdale for years. We did that, and we would stay like 2 weeks. My dad was a school teacher, and he had summers off, so he wasn't in a hurry to get back, and we didn't have to pay for lodging because we stay with my grandma. So we would just go there and that was our forever, sometimes a month, we'd go to the beach, just have a good time. But some of my mother's family lived there, and these are people that I rarely saw when I was growing up. And I remember my grandmother worked at a mall. It was the first mall I ever went to. Loved it. Became a mall rat because of that mall. And I remember being there one time, and this man showed up, and obviously I didn't know who he was initially, and then I kind of remembered, oh yeah, I know who this is, and my mom was talking to him. Now let me just say, when I was growing up, I always had this kind of worship of, I don't know how to explain it, but just kind of distinguished men. And the best example I can give you is like Johnny Carson. So like these guys, they were all stylish. They had these very kind of showbiz voices. And that usually meant that they smoked a lot of cigarettes. But they just had this kind of air about them of just being society people. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? Like Dick Cavett was one of them. He had that voice and just kind of this showbiz air about him. And when I was a kid, I just worshiped people like that. I worshiped men like that. I don't know why, but I always wanted to be that dude. And this man was like that. He just reminded me, just like really distinguished gray hair and He I don't know what he probably was wearing, like something you'd wear on a golf course probably back then. I don't remember what he was wearing. In fact, I don't even remember what he looks like specifically, but I can remember he talked to my mom for a minute, and then he said to me, "Come here a minute." And he goes over toward the side, over kind of next to a store. And I walked over there with him, and he says, "You're the man of the family now, and I'm going to give you," and he pulls out his wallet, and he says, "I'm going to give you some money." And he gives me, I honestly can't remember how much he gave me. What, $40 maybe? I have no idea. But he says, "You're the man now, and I want you to take your family out and give them ice cream. I want you to take them out and buy them ice cream." And he gives me this money. And I can remember it like it happened yesterday. Now, I don't know that he knew what he was doing. Like long term, I knew he probably thought it was kind of cool and that I would like it or whatever. But I don't think he knew what impact that would have on me for the rest of my life. And I always, even today, I always think that's the point when I became a man. This guy who I really respected and thought was kind of really, really cool gave me money and said, "Go be a man and take your family out." Like my dad never did that to me, but this man, and I felt so old, and I had to be 11, 12 maybe, I think, if I was that old. And I never forgot that, and it just impacted my life. To this day, I remember it, and it changed my life. It gave me I've done so many stupid things in my life. So, I mean, I didn't suddenly become this mature man, but I just felt like that was a point when someone recognized me as a man. And it was something he just did at the spur of the moment, and it stuck with me forever. And I think about things that I have just said and done to young kids, how that's still in their heads, you know? One of my ex-marriages, she had young boys. She had young kids. I was there in that house for a few years. And I never think about when I left, you know, we had our relationship. It didn't work. We divorced. Boom, that we're gone. But what did that do to those kids, man? I don't know. I know it had to do something because they're kids. It imprints in their heads, you know. How does it change people? What do they think about? Now that they're older, you know, what are their memories? Did I say or do something to change anybody's life then? All right, another thing, this is a different thing. 4th grade, I'm in the 4th grade. So little background, when I was elementary school, I guess 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, we always had a Christmas concert. You know, that happens in elementary school. Y'all get together and you stand on the risers and you sing Christmas carols. Mom and grandma and grandpa and dad come out and hear and listen to the concert, the little choral concert from the elementary school kids. It's cute, you know, kind of more screaming than singing, but still. But that was a regular thing. You do that every year. And for whatever reason, in 4th grade, they announced that not everybody could do it this year. I don't know what the politics were. I don't know why that year was different from, I tend to think here's what I think happened. I think some music person came in and said, "Well, I don't want a bunch of kids screaming. I'm going to put together a really nice sound, so I'm not going to have all the kids be in it." I mean, what else could have happened? It's the same kids. So what they decided to do was they went in every classroom and they would just let kids sing. And they would say, "Sing just like you would sing if you're in a choral concert." And then whoever the music person was, they walked around the room and they would listen to every kid while the singing was happening. And I guess they took notes or something. I don't know. I don't know what adult politics were at the time. There was probably a lot of stuff we didn't know about that was going on. All I know is I didn't make the cut. I wasn't one of the people that they listened to. and said, "You're in the concert." And that point in my life was the very point when I realized I could not sing and would never sing in my life. 4th grade. It's the equivalent of kids when they draw and someone goes, you shouldn't make it look like that. Trees don't have faces. And then the kid's like, oh, well, I suck. I can't do this. I'm not going to draw ever again. And they never do art again. Well, this happened. This was what my little kid head said was, oh, they heard me sing and I didn't make it because I can't sing. So I'm not going to sing ever again. And I didn't. I couldn't. I've had a couple experiences. I'll sing in the car. I'll sing in the shower. If I wanted to, I could be a good singer. I'm pretty sure. I took a voice class in college. I wasn't good. I auditioned for one play, one musical where I sang in public. One of the most scariest things I ever did in my life. I butchered it. I drove myself out of the room. It was horrible. I could never get the note because I was so nervous. But I did it. And I took that voice class where I had to sing in person in public over and over and over. But it never got out of my system. To this day, I can't sing because I couldn't sing when I was in 4th grade. I don't know why I'm telling you this, except I think it really is something to be aware of. The casual things that we say and do to people, not just kids, but definitely kids, that leaves an imprint. It leaves that moment that is never forgotten and can actually change a person. You could do it in a relationship. You could say, how many times in relationships have I ever been told that I was emotionally unavailable? Okay. I don't know that that's true. I'm not an overly emotional person, but I don't consider myself emotionally unavailable. I'm available emotionally. I just don't I don't cry a lot. I'm just not, I think I'm emotionally balanced. Now, this is my own evaluation of myself. The other person's evaluation is just as valid as mine, I suppose. I've asked my wife now, I'm like, would you consider me emotionally unavailable? And she says, no. But see, she's just like me. I would say she is, if there's someone more emotionally unavailable, it's her. And she says she's been accused of that too. It's something that could stand out in my head. It's something for a long time. I was like, wow, am I that person? So just saying something could leave that imprint. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm just saying, be conscious, be aware. Your flippant words, evaluations, judgments, labeling, what they do to other people and what they do to yourself. What do you tell yourself that you can't do that keeps you from doing it? And I'll just use art as one of them. Do you tell yourself that you're not creative? As an artist, I hear people all day long. They're like, I can't even draw a stick man. I couldn't do that. There's no way I could do that. I was like, well, don't draw stick man then. Do something else. Have you ever seen abstract painting? All you got to do is put some paint on the canvas. Enjoy the colors, how they bleed together. Eventually you start finding out, oh, there's something here I'm good at. Oh, I can make this happen. And you learn. You're not going to do it overnight. Nobody writes a song just overnight without knowing any structure or any sound. I was listening to a Billy Joel. I told my wife this week, I was like, the thing about Billy Joel that I forget about is he could take the dumbest lyrics and put them to music that you just want to listen to over and over and over. He does something structurally with music that's brilliant. And then if you go back and listen to the lyrics, sometimes, not all the times, a lot of his lyrics are great, but sometimes it's just like, oh, because I was listening to a song he wrote about business decisions. And I was like, that's like the dumb. Who wants to listen to a song about your business decisions, Billy? But you do, because he puts it together to great music. It takes a while to get there. If you're an artist, it takes a while. But you'll never get there if you tell yourself from the very beginning you're not going to be there, or you can't do it. You don't have to do it great. Just do it. Just do it. Which leads me to my next question. Another thing to think about. So this has another little story with it, but basically what I want to, if you've watched the movie Forrest Gump, who hasn't? Stupid is as stupid does, which says to me, you are what you do. Isn't that what it says? Stupid is as stupid does. You are as stupid as you do stupid. That's basically what he's saying, right? So he's saying you are what you do. And I think a lot of people think that. I'm trying to decide, is that true? Often I think we all kind of fall into that sometimes, thinking that way. I wouldn't want someone thinking that about me. I like to think I'm a more of a person than just a product of what I do. What I do is a part of, no, I won't even say it's a part of who I am. It's not. It's a part of what I do. But I'm not what I do, right? I am who I am. Thanks, Popeye. Sit down. All right. Here's what I want to say. And this is a story. You can help me out with this because I have a little bit of problem. I like to think, as a person who tries to practice spirituality, I like to think that I look at people, what is Namaste, which is I salute the divinity in you. That's what that's saying, right? And I like to think that I do that. That's at least something I strive to do. That's one, as a spiritual practice, that's high up on my list, to see the divinity in other people. Now, that could mean whatever you want it to mean. It doesn't have to have anything to do with God. It means see the higher person, see their potential, see who they really, truly are. A lot of us don't ever feel like we reach who we feel like we really are, but we still feel like we're that person, right? And we'd like other people to see us for that. We don't want them to see us for being the ugly jerks that we are. So I went to school. This is a personal story. I went to school with someone who's now doing time for murder, life for murder. I didn't know this person really, really well. I knew this person's family members pretty well. And this person got involved in a really rough life, got involved in substance abuse, a lot of crime, a lot of things, and ended up being a part of something really, really dumb, which included murder. So I've known this about this person for a long time, and it's not somebody I was ever close to, but knew him pretty well. We might have had a class together. So, but I've just known about this story. I've known about the story. I know what happens. Tragic story. I'm not going to go into it. It's personal. So, I don't think I need to share all of the information. But, I in my head, I just always thought that low murder guy in prison, there, he deserves that. And then I closed the prison doors. Boom. And just, that's all I thought about that guy. And then very recently, one of my friends who knew this person more than I did, visited this person in prison. I didn't do that, but my friend did. And wrote a story about it. And kind of revealed some stuff I didn't know. And the first thing he revealed is this guy now in prison is a minister. And when I heard that, the first thing I said was, right. That's what they do, right? They go to prison, they get the big, light from heaven. Oh, I'm turning my life around. What else are you going to do in prison, right? Suddenly you're converted. I've heard that story a gazillion times. So, I rolled my eyes as much as I could roll my eyes. And I just, it made me mad in a way. I was like, this dude killed this person who I also kind of knew. And now I'm supposed to go, hey, I forgive you because you're a minister and you're okay with me. Like basically what Jesus said you're supposed to do. But I didn't want to do that. Don't want to do it. It didn't fit into my narrative of who this guy was. So I refused to do it. And when I found out about it, after rolling my eyes and after being very skeptical, I had to face the music. I had to kind of face the truth. I had to be confronted by my own spiritual rules of recognizing the divinity in everyone. Doesn't that include bad people too? If you're going to have if you're going to have the spirit, you don't have to have the spirituality. If you want to judge people, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But if you're going to choose a path, then stay on the freaking path. All right. If you're going to choose the path of recognizing the divinity in everyone, then do it. Even if they suck. Even if they kill your own family, it can't be convenient. You can't just practice it when it's convenient, because that's not spirituality. That's just some kind of a fake bubble that you live in. So I had to think, what am I going to do here? How do I forgive this murderer guy for doing what he did, horrible thing that he did, and be able, and I don't know how to do it. I kind of worked through it. I'm not there. I'll tell you, I'm not there. But what I found out was a lot of it was just me wanting to hang on to that label that I had created for that dude. I wanted to be able to say this murderer guy, he's a murderer. I wanted to tell that story to people. Hey, did you hear about that guy? He's in prison right now. You know why? He murdered. And many times I've done that. I wanted to kind of hang on to that narrative. I kind of wanted to hang on to that judgment, that characterization of that guy, instead of being able to confront the idea that he essentially is me. We're the same stuff. We're the same person. I haven't murdered anybody yet. I probably murdered, small creatures. You want to call it murder. To life is life. Human life, life of a squirrel, kind of the same to life it is to nature. Human beings put a little different categories on it. So I probably murdered some ants in my life. Spiders, cockroaches, yeah. Not people, yeah. I don't think I will. Hoping that I don't. I don't know what's going to happen. Look out. But I do know that all of the crappy things that I've done in my life, I don't want to be known for that. I don't want to be judged by that. This guy doesn't want to be judged by what he has done. Murders are as murders do. He wants to be judged for who he is. Can we say we don't live in this society anymore, people? Maybe we never did, but we don't want. I see it all the time. It's like as soon as we find out that somebody has done something bad, if you're a Hollywood producer and you used your position to get lots of women in bed and, rape and molestation and just sexual abuse, whatever. We want to attach that label to people and put them away, punish them, close the prison doors and forget about it. I have that same instinct. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. I can't do it yet. I can't listen to Louis C.K. without thinking about what he did, how he was, how he abused his position. And because he was one of my favorite comics. It's hard to do. How do you watch the Bill Cosby show? Man's a genius. But he was a genius at manipulating his situations so that he can sexually abuse women too. How do you not attach what someone does to who they are? I can't figure it out yet. Other than the fact I don't want anybody doing it to me, okay? And maybe that's the key. It's getting in there and realizing just do what you want people doing for you. Isn't that the golden rule? That, doing to others? But I don't really yet know how to do it. I'm trying. I'm working on it. I'm actively trying to do it. But I think in the end, we're all going to be better off if we each learn how to do it. I think underneath there's this feeling that you're going to be taken advantage of if you do this. That's what I feel like. I'm like, I've dealt with people with who are like alcoholics, who are in substance abuse, and the amount of time that they'll say, "Please forgive me," and then they keep doing it, and it over and over and over and over, to the point I was just like, I'm being like taken advantage of here. No more. And so I think that has gotten in my way. I'm just afraid, what if this person is using religion, even unconsciously, just using religion to cover up what they did? Sometimes people do that, Am I going to open myself and be gullible to that? I don't want to be. I like to protect myself. But I also want to do the right thing. I also want to do what I want people to do to me, and that's to see the true essence of who they are. All I can say is I got to keep working on it, because I'm not there. I'm not at all there. How about you? Something you could do? Can you do it, really? Are you good enough to do that? As I've been practicing some sort of spirituality my entire life, and I realize I still suck at it. I'm not good at it. I want to be good at it, but I'm not. Just the basic things. That's the basic tenet of spirituality, is forgiveness, right? Compassion. I can't do it. I don't know how. I don't know how to do it, other than just trying to find out that space in me that wants the same thing. And when I could do that, then I'm like, oh, okay. And I told this story before, but it's like one time I was judging someone. I won't go into the details, but I was judging someone in my head, someone I saw out in person. I was judging them for a personality trait they had. And I got smacked in the face hard. This voice inside was just like, who are you? You are that person. How can you judge them? And I mean, I almost fell down and just like crumbled. And I never judged another person like in that light again. And that's what it takes. Sometimes it just takes waking up inside to go, you know what? You are a murderer just like that person. You just haven't committed the murder yet. You have the anger. I'm sure I could. Under the right I like to think that I wouldn't. Under the right circumstances, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that guy, when he was like a kid, he never thought, hey, guess what? I'm going to grow up and get involved in drugs and alcohol, and then I'm going to kill somebody. Can't wait. No one thinks that. And we're all that person. We're all that little kid. Still, we just have a lot of dirt in our life to show for it. All right. I don't know. It's progress. It's just working towards. We never perfect it, do we? Do you? I don't. Every time I think I'm getting closer, I just look and I'm farther back. I don't want to end on a negative space. All right. So let me see. What can we talk about? Just getting better. How about that? Getting better. If anything about what the holidays are for, it's about like innocence being born, right? Christ being born. That's what all of, some way or another, the religions at this time are about light, which you want to say, is it knowledge? I prefer not so much knowledge as inspiration. Coming into being born. The inspiration deep inside you being born. That inspiration that says, I can see you, who you are, even as I have to look through what you've done. And if you could do that, then you probably are ahead of everybody else. All right. I'm off my pulpit. Church is over. I'm going to have coffee, and I'll see you next week.